Hello, welcome back. Hopefully you had a good break. Now, if we continue with the alveolar, the alveolar ridge, but notice when we produce the first group T, right, and the tip of the tongue is raised towards the alveolar ridge. Let me get okay. So when we produced T, D, and N, the tip of the tongue is raised towards the alveolar ridge, right? This area. Okay, this area. Now, when we produced T, D, and N, it's not the same as when we produced S and Z, right? Because when we produce S and Z, even though the tip of the tongue is raised towards the same area, there's some room for the airflow to go over the tongue. When you say as in sun, sector, 6, and when you say zoom, zen, zip, the tip of the tongue is raised towards the alveolar ridge, but it's not actually touching, leaving some small room for the sound, the airflow to escape. Give me just a couple of seconds to get a cable to connect my laptop, which is running out of battery, right? Just a couple of seconds. All right, sorry for the interruption. Natalia, you were going to say something. No? Okay. So, okay, if we go back to the alveolars, right? When we produced ul and we produce ul and they are, the tip of the tongue is also raised, but when you raised the tip of the tongue to produce ul, the air stream goes through the sides. It's like if you imagine the tongue as if your hand were the tongue, right? And you put the tip of the tongue if you put the hand in front of you, it's like imagining that the airflow is escaping through the sides, right? Which is not happening when you are saying s or z, because the airstream goes on top or over the tongue. And when we're producing it's not exactly the same because the tongue is curled back, right? And it's not exactly touching the alveolar ridge. But all of these phonemes or consonant sounds are classified as alveolar sounds, right? But the point is, even though they are classified as alveolar sounds, we need to understand that there are some differences when we talk about the production of these alveolar sounds. Okay. Another category was the ones that come here. Okay. I don't know if I'm sharing them now. If I'm not, I'm going to start sharing them again. Right here. Okay. Juan, are you here? Juan Alfaro?
Yes, teacher.
Juan, are you here?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Juan, could you take care of this slide, please? Thank you.
Palatals. Produced by raising the front part of the tongue to the palate. Velars. Produced by raising the back of the tongue to the soft palate or velum. Glottals. Produced by restricting the airflow through the open glottis or by stopping the air completely at the glottis.
Thank you so much, Juan. Thank you so much. So these are three categories: palatals, velars, and glottals, right? And palatals are produced by raising the front part, not the tip, not the back, but the front part, which is like sort of the middle part of the tongue, towards the palate or hard palate. And we have the sounds sh and j, and the sounds ch and j. Okay, it's always good to learn them in pairs because basically these two sounds are palatals and are fricatives, and the only difference is the voicing, which is the vibration of the vocal folds. The first one is voiceless, and the second one is voiced. So when you think about think about a word that you know, like for example, show or shine, right? Shown. And this one is you add the voicing. As in vision, right? Azure. So I think we're back. I think we're back now. Okay. So and ch and g, the two sounds that come now are considered palatals by some authors. Others consider them post-alveolars, right? And are produced by raising the front part of the tongue as well to touch the hard palate. Velars, right? Velars, g and are produced by raising the back of the tongue, right? Finally, glottals as in high, hello, and as when you say bottle or mountain or beetle, right? Are also glottals because the airflow is restricted in the glottis. Remember, the glottis is the space between the vocal cords, right? And these are the labels, right, or classification in terms of place of articulation. Now, in the second part, we're going to remember manner of articulation. Okay, manner of articulation. And can we have a volunteer to read? Maybe Valentina Alvarez, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Can you take care of this one, please?
Yes. The manner of articulation is the way the airstream is affected as it flows from the lungs and out of the mouth and nose. Voiceless sounds are those produced with the vocal cords apart, so the air flows freely through the glottis. Voiced sounds are those produced when the vocal cords are together and vibrate as air passes through.
Thank you very much, Valentina. So if we talked about the where in the place of articulation, now we talk about the how the airstream is affected. Remember, the airflow comes from the lungs, it's pulmonic, right? And it goes out of the oral cavity. It's egressive, right? Pulmonic egressive airflow. And when the airflow goes through the glottis, the gap in between the vocal folds is can be voiced or I mean, sounds or consonant sounds can be voiceless or voiced, right? That is something that we need to remember when we're dealing with consonant sounds, that some of them can be voiced and some of them can be voiceless. If we consider these two on the left, k and g, in terms of place, both of them are velar sounds, right? In terms of manner of articulation, both of them are plosive. But if we refer to voicing, the first one k, is voiceless, as there is no vibration of the vocal cords when the sound is produced. And g would be voiced. So it's very important to remember these characteristics of consonant sounds, that some of them can be voiceless and the other ones are voiced, and that's connected with the vibration of the vocal cords. Okay. Now, when we talk about voiceless sounds and voiced sounds, that is one classification, right? Now, when we talk about manner of articulation, we talk about plosive sounds, right? Let me get rid of this note just to make some room for other comments. Okay. So when we talk about plosive sounds, which is one big classification of consonant sounds, we talk about basically 6 sounds, right? When we talk about plosive sounds, we talk about, if you remember, k, right? P. I don't know if you can help me with this. T. We talk about g. We talk about b. And we talk about d. Please correct me if I'm wrong, right? So all of these are considered plosive sounds. And they are called plosives, right? Because the airflow is stopped, right? It's blocked. There's a full block of the airstream and then a sudden release. So there is a puff of air coming from the mouth. So that's why they are called plosive, because we stop the air and we release it. When we say k, we say p, we say t, right? G, b, d. So the airflow is stopped and then released suddenly. Now, these plosive sounds, right? Some of them are voiceless and some of them are voiced. The first group is voiceless, right? And the second one is voiced. Or as some would say, the first group is voiceless and the second one is voiced using a symbol, right? So what happens with these plosive sounds, right, is that some of them, particularly the first one, the voiceless, right, the voiceless plosives, may be aspirated, or they may not be aspirated, which is a feature that we find in English, right? This when we think about aspiration, we think about voiceless plosives, that is p, t, and k. When these sounds are in the initial position, we call them aspirated, and they sound like with this, puff of air. For example, here we have top, and we have pot. So t and p in initial position are aspirated, okay? Because there is this extra puff of air coming from the oral cavity. Now these the same sound, the same voiceless plosives p, t, and k, if we put them in middle position or in final position, are unaspirated, meaning that they are not produced with this puff of air. For example, we have the word take here, take, and the initial t is aspirated in initial position. K in final position is not. Okay. Now, in the second example, we have steak. We have t not in initial position, but in middle position. This sound is unaspirated because there's not that extra puff of air. And when we transcribe this sound phonetically, take to in initial position has this very small symbol that represents aspiration. Looks like a letter H, right? And in steak, we do not have this symbol represented an aspiration, the aspiration, because this t is unaspirated. It's not aspirated. Okay. In the next example, we have the same thing in state, the final t, right? And the first t in middle position, both of them are unaspirated. Okay. So aspiration is a feature that takes place in voiceless plosives. Okay, in English. It's a feature that we might find in English, in the English phonology. Right? Now, another category when we were describing consonants in terms of manner of articulation is fricatives, right? Fricatives, friction. Friction is always connected with fricative sounds, and fricative sounds are produced by obstructing or restricting the airflow, leaving just a small gap to produce or for the airstream to leave the mouth. So when we say f and v, right, the teeth pressed against the bottom lips are causing or leaving this very, very narrow gap for the airflow to leave. The same thing with th and th, in which the tip of the tongue inserted in between the teeth is creating this very, very small or narrow gap. In the case of s and z, is the tip of the tongue pressed against the alveolar ridge that is leaving this small gap for the airflow to leave. In the case of s and z, is the front part of the tongue pressed against the palate. In the case of is the back of the tongue pressed against the velum. In the case of the restriction or constriction of the air is at the glottis level. So whenever you think about fricative sounds, they are called fricatives because friction is caused by the articulators pressing or leaving a very small room for the airflow to leave the oral cavity. Okay, fricatives, affricates, liquids, glides, they are all part of this big family called the continuant sounds. Okay, and this is a big family which is a part of the phonetic classes. So some sounds can be classified into, for example, plosives, fricatives, affricates, liquids, and glides, right? And also there are major categories or phonetic classes that can group these sounds into larger categories. For example, continuants, which are sounds in which the airflow is continuous, and stop sounds are the ones in which there's some complete obstruction for a fraction of a second. Okay, so these are two phonetic classes, stops and continuants, that we didn't talk before. But in general, all of the sounds in which there's a continuous flow of air are called continuants, and all of the sounds in which there is some sort of block to the airflow for at least a brief moment are called stops. Right? Now, in connection to the continuants, we have the fricatives, and then we have the affricates. The affricates are two sounds, ch and j, and when we produce these two affricate sounds, we basically produced a partial closure and then a sudden release or a gradual release of the airflow. It's like a combination of a plosive and a fricative, right? It's like combining t and then sh, and you get ch. And in the same case, if you like combining d and then j, and then you get j. So an affricate is a combination of stopping or blocking the air for a fraction of a second and then releasing the airflow gradually. Okay. Examples, if you remember, church, and if you remember, judge. These are good examples because they have the same sound in initial and in final position. Church, judge have the same sound at the beginning and at the end. Another category when we're talking about how the airflow is affected is the category of the liquids or liquid consonant sounds. And are called liquids because there's not enough friction when we produce and because somehow the airflow goes sort of freely, right? And because there's no enough friction to call them fricatives, they are called liquids. Okay. The following groups are called glides. Glides are also produced with very little obstruction, just like the liquids. And maybe that's the reason why this group of the glides and the liquids are called approximants. So this is like a big group. Approximants are liquids and the glides, and because there's not enough friction when we articulate these sounds to call them fricatives, they are put together in one larger group called approximants. Okay. Now going back to glides, they sound like vowel sounds. Some people call them semi-vowel or semi-vowels, right? And they're very tricky because, for example, the first one, you can find it in words like you or yes, you and yes. And they sound like you are producing a vowel sound in the beginning, but it's actually this semi-vowel. If you remember the two sounds that look or sound similar, long and tense E, short and lax I, which are both high and front vowel sounds, they are not exactly the same as when you say yes, because when you say yes is the back of your tongue, that is being raised towards the velum, right? Yes, you. So when you're saying yes or you should feel the back of the tongue touching right this area. Yes, right. You. Um, so it's a different sound. That's why it shares some aspects of a vowel sound and a consonant sound. So it's like somewhere in between a vowel sound and a consonant sound. That's why it's called semi-vowel. So the other semi-vowel or glide is wu, which is also a bilabial sound. And you find it in words like where or what or which, right? Which. Just like the other one, they are followed by a vowel. So just like when you say you is it's the glide followed by u. Yes is the glide followed by e. When you say which, right? Which is the glide u followed by a vowel sound. So that's an interesting characteristic of these glide sounds that are always followed by a vowel sound. Okay, remember liquids and glides are also called approximants because there is not enough friction. They're not part of the fricative sounds, right? And let's see. Judith, could you take care of this slide, please?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Approximants. Sometimes liquids and glides are put together. One category because the articulators approximate a frictional closeness but do not actually cause friction. Trills and flaps. Trills are produced by rapidly vibrating an articulator. Flaps are produced by a flick of the tongue against the alveolar ridge.
Thank you so much. So when we talk about trills, think about the Spanish So when you say ropa, risa, ratón, okay, remo, the r, it's what we call trill in English. Okay, and it's represented like this, right? Which is an interesting sound, which is somehow difficult for speakers of other languages, right? And the second one, it's a flap, which is represented by this symbol. And if you think about a word like letter or writer or see you later, right? Is particularly this sound. And it's a flick, which is a rapid movement, right? It's a flick of the tongue against the alveolar ridge. So when you say later, later, rider. That's the flick of the tongue against the alveolar ridge, which is a sound that is quite common in general American, right? The use of a flap. And remember that the flap is an allophone of t, right? Because letter, or writer, you can say letter or writer, and you're using an allophone of the phoneme t. We're not changing the meaning, we're just changing a sound. Therefore, the flap is considered an allophone of the sound t, right? Okay, this presentation was uploaded to the LMS. You can have access to it. So far, for example, in this chart, you have the place of articulation right on top, bilabial, labiodental, dental or interdental, as we call it, right? Etc., etc., etc. And in the first column, we have the manner of articulation, right? So it's an interesting chart that can help you to study, right? Manner of articulation and place of articulation. And also you have the minus V, which is voiceless, and the plus V, which is voiced. So the sound on the left would be the voiceless, and the sound on the right would be the voiced. Same thing. For example, the sound F could be or would be labiodental and fricative and voiceless, right? And V would be labiodental as well and fricative, but it would be voiced. Okay, so okay, two things. First of all, a task. Okay, first of all, a task. This task consists of the following. Please let me know if you have any questions meanwhile we are talking about the task, okay? The task consists of the following. You need to choose a movie or an interview or a speech, someone, you know, giving a speech or a TED talk, and you need to select 30 seconds of it, okay? You can choose a movie, an interview, a speech, a TED talk, anyone talking about something or having a conversation or a dialogue with someone. And you will select 30 seconds, okay? These 30 seconds can be at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. It's totally up to you, okay? It's for you decide which section you are going to select. Okay, then you're going to transcribe in plain English the speaker's words. Okay, for example, if the person says, describe the consonant sounds, so you're going to write describe the consonant sounds in just plain English, just like it's written here. Okay, and then you're going to focus on the consonant sounds. You're going to describe the consonant sounds. For example, let's suppose that you're describing this one. So consonant. So you are going to describe k. You're going to describe n. You're going to describe s. You're not going to describe n again because you already described this one here. And you're not going to describe this one again, but you're going to describe t. Okay? You're going to describe these consonant sounds. How are you going to describe them? For example, k in consonant, k is voiceless in terms of voicing, right? Because there's no vibration of the vocal cords. Is velar because the back part of the tongue is raised against the velum or soft palate. That's a place of articulation. And it's plosive in terms of manner of articulation because you block the air and you release it suddenly with a puff of air. Okay? So this is a task that that you're going to work with. We're going to be meeting again on Thursday. Right, on Thursday we have class. So on Thursday, you will show us your selection. You will show us the movie segment or the interview segment or the speech or the tech talk segment, right? The 30 seconds, okay? And after you show us the 30 seconds, you're going to show us the script, right? The dialogue or the words used by the speaker. And then you're going to describe the sounds, saying, for example, okay, in the sentence, describe the sounds. In the word describe, we have de, which is voiced, alveolar, and plosive. We have s, which is voiceless, alveolar, and fricative. We have k, right, which is voiceless, velar, and plosive, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but you're not going to repeat the consonant sounds. If you already described d, you're not going to describe it again. Okay, if you described b in one word, you're not going to describe it again. Okay, so you're going to describe the sounds, the consonant sounds, only once. Does it make sense so far? So please let me know if you have any questions about the task, okay? About the task. Is the task clear so far? Would you like to ask any questions either in English or Spanish?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We must describe only with those three criteria, right?
Exactly. Only a voicing, place, and manner.
Okay.
So we're focusing only on consonant sounds.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And any other questions?
Professor, this has to be like a video, right? 30 seconds of a video, right?
Yes, 30 seconds of a video, but you choose the video. It can even be a song, but you have to use good judgment to select a song or a movie, because some movies contain, because it's part of a movie, sometimes long silences, right? Because, you know, suspense, because of, I don't know, the type of scene. So select a scene in a movie, sorry, that has lots of dialogue.
Okay, but when we transcribe the sentences, we do it right in the same video, like while the video is playing, right?
You can do that, or you can, after you show us and we'll watch the video, you can show us a Word file or a PowerPoint presentation, and you can have the script there. If you can add closed captions to the video or subtitles, but it's not It's not mandatory.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Good question, by the way. Any other question in English or Spanish? So how do we do it? For example, all of you should be ready for next session, right? So for example, let's take up, I don't know, Pia Cerda as an example. So let's suppose, okay, all of your names, or I think I'm going to assign you a number, and then I'm going to put the numbers in a bag. I'm going to take up a number, and let's suppose that the number 1 is going to be Pia, okay. So Pia will show us the video. We're going to watch the video, which can be a movie, a song, could be you know, whatever she wants. We're going to watch this video for 30 seconds. And then Pia can repeat the video, this time with subtitles or closed captions, or she can show a PowerPoint presentation or a Word file, whatever, you know, she wants. And she will be focusing on the consonant sounds. A good idea would be to use a highlighter, or for example, using a different color, a red color or a blue or a green, right? Saying, okay, the initial sound in transcribe is T, which is, you know, voiceless, alveolar, and plosive, right? Etc., etc. So you can give us some clues, some visual clues to which specific consonant sound you are referring to or describing. Okay? And then at the end, Pia can even ask the rest of the classmates a question. Like, for example, in the word, I don't know, plane, the first sound, P, what, how can you describe the sound P? So, like teaching the class, right? And then we have to say, you know, P is voiceless, bilabial, and plosive, okay? I may ask Pia a question. I may ask Pia, for example, so Pia, why do you think, why are you saying that the final sound in transcribe, B, is voiced? So Pia will have to say probably, well, when we produce the sound B, there is a vibration of a vocal folds. That's why it's called voiced, which would be a correct answer, right? Or Pia, you said that B is voiced, bilabial, and plosive. What do you think is bilabial? You know, Pia would have to say, well, the sound is produced by, you know, putting both lips together. That's why it's called bilabial. Okay, very, very simple and clear answer to show that she is applying the theoretical knowledge about how to describe vowel sounds. Okay, so Pia will take up from between 5, maybe up to no more than 10 minutes. Okay, and then it's going to be Juan Alfaro's turn. I'm just giving examples, okay? That's the way it's going to be next session. Okay? Do you have any questions or comments about the exercise?
Profesor, yo tengo una pregunta.
Okay.
Pero la haré en español para explicarme mejor. Por ejemplo, si está la palabra consonant dentro del texto, usted dijo que si escribíamos la N una vez no teníamos que volver a hacerlo, ¿verdad?
Así es.
Ya, y si está, por ejemplo, consonant sounds, la N de sounds, ¿tengo igual que describirla siendo que es el mismo sonido? ¿O igual no me la salto, por decirlo así?
Se la salta, ya la describió. No hay sentido en volver a describir algo que usted ya demostró que lo sabe describir.
O sea que si sale la N, no sé, 1500 veces dentro del texto, ¿solo la escribo una vez?
Yo diría que sí, a no ser que usted quiera volver a retomarla, si es que aparece como en la palabra 1400 y usted ya la describió en la primera, a lo mejor sí podría ser retomarla, pero si está saliendo constantemente muchas palabras, si usted ya la describió, no sería necesario volver a describirla. No veo el punto.
Ya,
Bueno, todo está en el gusto, sí.
sí, sí,
Ajá,
gracias.
ok.
Profe, yo tengo otra pregunta, disculpe.
Ujú, ajá.
No sé si ya lo dijeron porque no está en este momento, me había parado, pero em, si, por ejemplo, en el diálogo sale una palabra con un sonido mudo, como decíamos, una consonante muda, ¿qué hacemos con esa? ¿La marcamos así como en especial o algo?
Sería interesante, sí, sería interesante y muy buen comentario. No tendrían que describirla, puesto que no sería un sonido, ¿cierto? Que aparecería dentro de lo que dice el hablante o la persona ¿cierto? Que aparece en el video. Pero sería interesante que ustedes mencionaran que, claro, en esta palabra hay una letra o un grafema que no aparece articulado o que el sonido no aparece. Por lo tanto, es un sonido silencioso. Digamos, no hay una producción de ese sonido. Es a silent letter.
Ya.
Good question. Very good question. Any other questions about the task? Cerrando lo de la actividad, es importante como actividad, puesto que es de aplicación. Es de aplicación de la descripción, que es bastante teórica y bastante seca y aburrida, pero en algo que va a ser entretenido para ustedes, como una película que ustedes mismos van a seleccionar, o una entrevista, o un discurso de alguien que ustedes admiren. Por lo tanto, creo que sí va a haber una conexión interesante entre la descripción de estos sonidos consonánticos y algo que a ustedes les haga más sentido o algo que sea más entretenido. Incluso algo que ustedes quisieran aprender o explorar, como por ejemplo, no sé, yo no sé nada de apicultura, no sé, me gustaría aprender. Entonces voy y busco un video de apicultura y aprovecho de aprender algo y lo asocio con este ejercicio. Eh, ya, entonces ese por un lado. Por otro, el que ustedes hablen y se refieran usando los términos técnicos va a ser que ustedes practiquen esto de la descripción de sonidos consonánticos usando cierto este lenguaje en una presentación que de alguna manera igual sirve como para enseñar a sus compañeros sobre estos sonidos, puesto que en algún momento ustedes mismos pueden usar a sus compañeros como estudiantes y preguntarles a sus compañeros durante su mini presentación o mini lección sobre alguno de las consonantes. Entonces también les sirve a ustedes para desarrollar ciertas habilidades pedagógicas. ¿Ya? Entonces es una actividad que también permite el desarrollo en esa línea, el desarrollo de habilidades pedagógicas. Esto va a ser en forma aleatoria, es decir, todos tienen que tener su actividad lista. Creo que es un poco más justo, en vez de darle, qué sé yo, 2 días a un par de personas y una semana o 2 semanas a la otra. Entonces, todos van a tener la opción, puesto que va a ser relativamente breve, entre 5 a 10 minutos por persona, por estudiante. Entonces, esto debería ir avanzando bien. No hay requisitos en relación a lo que ustedes elijan. Como su compañero preguntó, pueden incluirle los subtítulos a los videos directamente o si ustedes van a YouTube y colocan abajo en donde dice CC, Closed Captions, lo vamos a ver inmediatamente. Entonces, si ustedes hacen la transmisión directa desde YouTube, no es necesario que lo agreguen. Lo otro, si ustedes eligen Word o YouTube, ni un problema, o algún otro tipo de software que nos permita ver tanto lo escrito, ¿cierto? El texto del diálogo, eh, como la descripción, ¿cierto? Si ustedes así lo precisan. Ok. In the LMS, in the section called Evaluación. I'm here in the LMS in ELT115, Evaluación. And if you go to Evaluación, at the bottom, at the very bottom, you will see this folder called ELT115 section. It should be sections 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and if you click there, you will see the grades for section 1, 2, and 3. So you go there and you click on the file to see your grades for quizzes and tests. Okay, and if you click here, this Google Drive, and here, I don't know if you're seeing this that I'm sharing, but I'm sharing the Google Drive. I click there. I clicked there. Let me share again because I'm not 100% sure if you're seeing this. Okay, and if you're looking at the drive, at any moment, you will see the speaking rubrics. Okay, and if you see the speaking rubrics, you click on the speaking rubrics and you download them. I mean, you download your own, right? That's the idea. In the speaking rubric, you will see the text with some sections that were highlighted, which are words that might have some errors in terms of pronunciation or word stress. Okay, so please go to the LMS, take a look at your grades, and also download your speaking rubric, because this will not be available forever. This will be available only this week. Okay, so download your rubric. This will be the last thing for the session. So if you don't have any comments or questions, we finish the session. You go to the LMS and you take a look at your grades and download your speaking rubric. Yes.
Una última consulta sobre este tema ahora. En el writing, nosotros cuando terminamos y pudimos ver la resolución, salían algunos errores, como por ejemplo, por qué uno ponía una coma o una S. Entonces nosotros nos preguntábamos si usted siguió ese resultado o lo revisó usted mismo, por así decirlo.
Revisé una por una las pruebas del writing test, específicamente por eso, porque la variación, la adición, que la palabra estuviese mal deletreada, generalmente pasaba con la palabra diphthong, que contiene dos H's, diphthong. Algunos la escribían con una sola y les daba incorrecta la respuesta. O la palabra schwa, algunos colocaban el símbolo, entre paréntesis, algunos colocaban el símbolo entre los slashes o brackets, algunos colocaban el símbolo más la palabra schwa. Entonces todas esas variantes en la respuesta hacían que la respuesta fuese considerada incorrecta. Por eso fui y revisé una por una las respuestas de todas las evaluaciones de las 3 secciones, y espero no haberme equivocado. De todas maneras, revísenlas con calma para que vean. Me imagino que ustedes pueden acceder nuevamente a la evaluación para que vean ustedes el conteo del puntaje y vean que a pesar de que la palabra estuvo mal escrita o la respuesta era una variante, igualmente fue considerada correcta. Cuando había un ejercicio en donde había 2 espacios, lo ideal sería entregar la respuesta imaginando qué palabra completaría ese espacio y sin agregar nada más. Pero eso va a ser algo que vamos a trabajar después, que yo voy a trabajar personalmente en las instrucciones para hacerlas más claras. Es decir, en la instrucción va a ir, por ejemplo, fijarse bien en cómo se escribe la palabra y colocar solamente la palabra y no y ningún otro símbolo adicional, que fue lo que generó que muchas de las respuestas fueran consideradas incorrectas por tener algún símbolo que era extra. Por ejemplo, si en el ejercicio había que colocar solamente diphthong y schwa, no colocar diphthong and a schwa, porque eso ya estaba dentro del texto. Entonces, eso vamos a fijarnos un poquito más. Tanto ustedes como yo, para que la siguiente oportunidad, como de todo se aprende, ¿cierto? La siguiente oportunidad sea más expedito. Porque en el fondo, por ejemplo, el tiempo que yo dediqué para hacer la revisión 1 a 1 de las pruebas escritas para que tuviesen el puntaje, es un proceso un poco más engorroso hacerlo a través de la computadora, porque hay que esperar cierto... son distintos los tiempos que si uno hace la corrección con lápiz y papel, en papel, a que si uno la hace en computador, puesto que uno tiene que esperar el tiempo de guardado de la respuesta, ¿cierto? Hacer la corrección 1 a 1 y esperar el guardado. Y a veces las computadoras están un poco más lentas, como la corrección se hace en línea con la plataforma, a veces, ustedes entienden, ¿cierto? La señal no es tan buena. Entonces, ese tiempo que yo le dediqué a eso, no se lo dediqué, por ejemplo, a la revisión de los speaking de segundo año, porque yo terminé con todas las evaluaciones de los speaking rubrics de primero, pero no alcancé a revisar las evaluaciones de speaking de segundo. Entonces, ese tiempo quizá, que fue de un par de horas, probablemente me hubiese servido a mí para terminar las evaluaciones de speaking de segundo. Pero eso, como les digo, es algo que se puede mejorar para las siguientes instancias de evaluación y tanto ustedes como yo podemos poner de nuestra parte para que el sistema sea más rápido, más efectivo, ¿cierto? Y no se produzcan estas instancias de ansiedad o de duda de ¿me considerará esta buena? ¿Por qué me parece mala si yo la escribí al parecer bien, ¿cierto? Entonces, pero eso lo vamos a ir trabajando en las siguientes evaluaciones. Disculpen la respuesta tan larga. Bien, cuídense. Have a good day. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy life. Any other questions?